I never thought my 2-year-old's first word would blow up my entire marriage at Christmas dinner. It started on a regular Wednesday morning in our kitchen, the normal chaos of trying to get breakfast sorted before I dropped Olivia at school and Jessica left for work. I was scrambling eggs, Olivia was singing about her cereal, Jessica scrolled through her phone, and Benjamin was banging a plastic spoon on his high chair, sticky-faced and grinning. Then he just blurted it out. William. It was clear as day. Benjamin's big brown eyes lit up as he repeated, William, William. He banged his spoon for emphasis. I froze, looking from him to the rest of the table. Olivia giggled. Good job, Benny. That's a name. Jessica's head snapped up, eyes sharp for a split second before she forced a little laugh. Wow, big first word, buddy. William, she repeated, real slow, as if tasting it. Probably picked it up from that cartoon, right? She didn't look at me. I tried to play it casual, scraping eggs onto a plate. Wait, what cartoon has a William? I don't remember seeing one. Jessica shrugged, not missing a beat. Oh, you know, there's always some William or whatever in those British shows she watches, isn't there, Live? Olivia shook her head, mouthful of cereal. No William on Peppa Pig, Mommy. Jessica rolled her eyes. Well, maybe it's one of the shows he watches with your mom. Her voice flicked cold, landing harder than she probably meant. Maybe, I said, trying to sound light, but my stomach twisted. It's just, I can't think of anyone we know named William. Jessica dropped her phone, pushed her chair back. Really, Michael? It's just a name. Kids hear things. Don't start some weird mystery about it. She gave me this look, flat, a tiny smirk hiding behind her eyes, like she was daring me to push it. Olivia was oblivious, humming to herself, but even Benjamin seemed to sense the tension, his smile fading as he sucked on his spoon. Jessica stood up, smoothing her slacks. I have to get going. Don't forget to sign Olivia's permission slip. She kissed Olivia quickly, ruffled Benjamin's hair, then paused by me. Her touch lingered on my shoulders, just a second too long, almost apologetic, except when I looked up, I caught her eyes narrowing, just for a heartbeat, right at the sound of that name. I watched her leave, the door clicking shut behind her, and tried not to let the chill in my chest show. I didn't want Olivia picking up on it. She was telling Benjamin, good job, Benny. Mommy's proud of you. I ruffled Olivia's hair, forcing a smile. That's a pretty grown-up name for a first word, huh? She nodded, cheerful as ever. Benjamin says all sorts of things to his soft bunny. Yesterday he said William a whole bunch. She laughed, swinging her feet. I nodded, swallowing hard. Right. William. Wonder where he got that. But my eyes drifted to the door where Jessica had just gone, and even though I've always been the guy to trust first, something in the way she looked at me, like I was stepping too close to a tripwire, left me rattled well after she'd gone. I spent the whole day turning it over in my head. I kept telling myself I was being ridiculous. Kids repeat anything. Jessica was right, wasn't she? It had to be from TV, or some random storybook, or maybe even something Olivia heard at school. Still, I couldn't let it go. There was something about how fast Jessica shut it down, how she went from joking to stonewall and back again, that made me feel like I'd missed something obvious. And the way her eyes narrowed, just for a split second, nobody else saw it, but I did. That night, after we put the kids to bed, I stayed up later than Jessica, scrolling through my phone. I started with the streaming apps, searching for any cartoon or movie with a William somewhere in the cast. Nothing. I checked the recordings, even the ones Olivia watched on YouTube Kids. Still nothing. No William, and not even as a background extra in the credits. A little after 11, Jessica came downstairs, catching me in the act. She leaned against the doorframe, eyebrow cocked, watching me flip through the TV settings. Really? She said, voice light but sharp beneath. You're doing detective work over a toddler babbling? I laughed it off, closing the app, just curious. Like, where do kids pick this stuff up? It's weird, right? She eyed me, not smiling. You seriously think Benjamin has some secret William in his life? Or are you going to start checking his diapers for clues too? Something about the way she said it, half joking, but her eyes hard, made the back of my neck prickle. I shrugged, trying to sound casual. I just want to make sure you didn't hear it from anywhere weird. That's all. She rolled her eyes and turned away, already heading back upstairs. Next thing you know, you'll be dusting for fingerprints. Come to bed, Michael. Don't make this a thing. I put the remote down, feeling more unsettled than before. As I lay in bed later, Jessica already turned away, and breathing softly, I stared at the ceiling, listening to the quiet sounds of the house. Then I heard Olivia's voice down the hall, soft and close to Benjamin's door. Don't worry, William will visit again soon. My heart pounded. I didn't even get up. I just listened, frozen, as Olivia's reassurance to her little brother echoed in the silence. Suddenly, William wasn't just a name from TV. It was something or someone real right here in our home. By the afternoon, I was still hung up on Benjamin's first word. It wasn't just the word, but the way Jessica had reacted, so quick to brush it off, almost annoyed that I even asked. I tried to tell myself I was being ridiculous, but every time I replayed her face in my head, it felt off. So after lunch, I sat down at the dining table with my laptop and the TV remote, determined to kill the paranoia in my head. I opened up the streaming history first, scrolling through the endless rows of cartoon episodes, preschool music videos, even the weird foreign puppet shows Olivia sometimes clicked into. Nothing. No William anywhere. No episode titles, no character names. I checked the kids' YouTube playlist, searching through Peppa Pig, Bluey, and the stuff I barely paid attention to. Still, nothing. It shouldn't have bothered me this much, but I couldn't shake it. I was up to my elbows in half-loaded browser tabs and typing William into the search bar for the fourth time when Jessica's heels clicked down the hallway. She stopped in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me peck at the keyboard. "Do I even want to know?" she asked, voice light, but with that edge she reserved for when she was actually annoyed. I tilted the laptop so she could see the screen. Just checking the kids' shows. I swear every cartoon has a talking animal named William or something. Olivia says no, but I don't know. Maybe it's from one of the background characters. She let out a short, sharp laugh, but it didn't reach her eyes. "So you're searching their entire TV history because a toddler babbled a name? That's a new level of dad paranoia." I tried to grin. I just want to make sure they're not picking up weird stuff. I mean, who knows what's on those random YouTube playlists? Last week there was a singing potato, remember? Jessica stepped closer, not smiling. "Michael, it's just a name. You're really going to drive yourself nuts over this? You're acting like you're on some crime show? Is this your new hobby, detective work over nothing?" Something about the way she said it made my chest tighten. Her tone was playful on the surface, but her jaw was rigid. She was looking at me like I was the one out of line. I shrugged, doing my best to sound harmless. "I guess I am going a little overboard. I don't know. The way the kids both said it, it got stuck in my head." Jessica's smile was brittle now. She snatched the remote out of my hand and flicked off the TV. "How about you let it go? Maybe William is a unicorn, or a dinosaur, or some imaginary friend. It's not a code to crack." She planted a kiss on my forehead, way too hard to be affectionate, and carried the remote toward the living room. "You worry too much, Michael. Let's not make this into a thing, okay? I'm not in the mood for another one of your overthinking spells." She flopped onto the sofa, scrolling on her phone, already done with the topic. I watched her for a second, the way her shoulders stayed tenser than usual, and suddenly felt totally alone in my own house. I shut the laptop, my mind even more tangled than before. That night, I couldn't sleep. My optimism, the thing I usually leaned on, felt thin as tissue paper. Jessica had been extra cold all evening, making small talk with Olivia about school, ignoring me except to ask if I moved her charger. She went to bed early, barely saying goodnight. I stayed up late, listening to the soft hum of the baby monitor, the distant creak of the heater kicking on. It was just after midnight when I heard voices down the hall. Olivia's voice, gentle and clear, floated from Benjamin's cracked door. "Don't worry, William will visit again soon," she whispered, her words soft but definite. Benjamin chirped something in response, probably a babble, or maybe trying to copy the same name. Olivia shushed him and giggled, then started humming a lullaby. I stood in the darkness, halfway out of my room, heart thumping so hard I was scared they'd hear it. All I could think was, this is real. It's not a name from TV. Whatever William is, he's not a cartoon. The suspicion I'd tried to bury all day started to bubble over, simmering just beneath my skin, impossible to ignore. And I couldn't shake the feeling that the answer was a lot closer than I wanted to believe. That Saturday, my school's robotics club event wrapped up way earlier than planned, so I figured I'd swing by home and surprise everyone with donuts. I pulled into our driveway just before noon, careful not to slam the car door, half hoping to see Olivia and Benjamin playing in the yard. The house was strangely quiet. I let myself in, balancing the donut box, and set my keys down. Right away, I heard something upstairs, muffled voices, the low kind adults use when they don't want kids to overhear. I frowned. Jessica was supposed to be home with the kids, and usually there's chaos by this hour. I crept upstairs, trying not to make a sound. At the end of the hall, our bedroom door was shut tight, which was weird, because Jessica hated closed doors during the day. I heard a soft thump, then a man's voice, distinct, even if I couldn't catch the words. My heart pounded. I reached for the doorknob. Locked. I knocked, pretending to be casual. "Jess?" There was a beat of silence, then the sound of voices dropping to a hiss. The door unlocked, and Jessica opened it just a crack, blocking my view with her body. Her hair was a little mussed, cheeks flushed. Benjamin toddled past her legs, clutching a toy car. "Oh, you're home early," she said, brows raised. Wrapped up fast. "Got donuts," I said, trying to look past her into the room. "Were you on a call?" She exhaled, too loud. "No, I was trying to nap. Olivia was watching TV way too loud, and Ben wouldn't settle. You know how it is." Something felt off, but I forced a smile. "Sorry, didn't mean to wake you." Jessica shrugged it off, already moving Benjamin down the hall. "TV's off now, so hopefully we can all get some rest." I stepped into the bedroom as she left. It was warm and smelled faintly of aftershave I didn't recognize. Definitely not mine. The bedsheets were rumpled, and there was an empty glass on the nightstand that hadn't been there that morning. Downstairs, I found Olivia huddled on the couch with a coloring book. I sat next to her, watching her color in long, rough strokes. "Did you and Ben have fun with Mommy today?" I asked, keeping my voice gentle. Olivia nodded, eyes fixed on her page. "Yeah, Mommy was talking to her friend for a long time in her room." She said it so simply, like it was nothing. Jessica from the kitchen called out, "Olivia, enough. Don't tattle about things you don't understand." Olivia's head jerked up, caught between us. "Olivia!" Jessica snapped, stepping into the living room, arms crossed. "I said no tattling. Daddy doesn't need to know every little thing, understood?" Olivia shrank back, looking embarrassed, and I just sat there, stunned by Jessica's harshness. It wasn't like her to shut Olivia down so fast, especially not in front of me. Jessica knelt, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Go help your brother with his blocks, she said, softer now, but with an edge that kept Olivia moving. Olivia scampered off, glancing at me as if she wanted to say more, but Jessica's glare shut her up. Jessica straightened, facing me with that closed-off posture I'd come to dread. I really need some quiet today, Michael. Can you handle the kids for a while? Yeah, I said quietly, watching her disappear upstairs. The rest of the afternoon was awkward, the air thick with something I couldn't name. I tried to play with Benjamin and Olivia, but my mind kept looping back to the muffled voice, the locked door, the new smell. After dinner, Olivia tugged at my sleeve. Daddy, can I show you something? She slipped me a folded piece of paper, glancing over her shoulder to make sure Jessica wasn't watching. I opened it right there, honestly expecting another unicorn drawing, but my stomach dropped when I saw what she'd made. Crayon on printer paper, 3 figures in our bedroom. One was clearly Jessica, with her long hair. One was little Benjamin, smiling. The third, a tall man with big round glasses, someone I'd never seen her draw before. All 3 were inside a big rectangle labeled in Olivia's careful print, Mommy's room. I looked at Olivia, but she just shrugged. That's Mommy's friend. He was here today. He played cards with Ben while you were gone. My mouth was dry. Oh, is that so? She nodded, not catching my anxiety. He was nice. He said not to tell Daddy he was here, but I drew it because I liked his glasses. I folded the drawing, swallowing the knot in my throat, and watched as Olivia skipped away to help her brother. The unease in my stomach grew. Jessica's friend wasn't on TV, and he definitely wasn't supposed to be in our house. And now I had proof, right there in Olivia's wobbly handwriting staring me in the face. The following weekend, Jessica insisted we go to the neighborhood barbecue at the park around the corner. I watched her work the crowd like nothing was wrong, hugging neighbors, smiling tight for photos, even pretending to play frisbee with Benjamin under the shady tree line. I tried to do the same, but with everything piling up, Benjamin's first word, the drawing, the locked door, I felt like an actor missing half the script. All the kids ran wild on the grass, Olivia included, talking loud enough for the whole block to hear. I stood by the grill with Pete from 2 houses down, flipping burgers and half listening as the grown-ups swapped small talk. Suddenly, Olivia's voice cut through the noise. Sometimes William comes over when Daddy's not home. He brings juice boxes. I nearly dropped the spatula. From the corner of my eye, I saw Jessica freeze in the middle of opening a bag of chips. One of the other parents, Janine, laughed as she handed out juice boxes. William, huh? Michael, you keeping secrets? I forced a laugh, waving it off. Must be an imaginary friend, right? Or someone from TV. Kids make up all sorts of things. Olivia piped up again, loud and matter-of-fact. No, he's real. Mommy lets him in, and they play in her room. He wears glasses. Every adult in earshot glanced over, the air now full of the kind of awkward tension I usually only saw at parent-teacher conferences when someone's kid was in trouble. Pete arched an eyebrow at me, clearly amused, but also, maybe, a little skeptical. Jessica's face was pale, eyes cutting to me from across the picnic table. I tried to shrug, smiling like it was all a big misunderstanding, but my hand shook as I fiddled with the tongs. Inside, my heart was racing. Janine grinned at Jessica. Sounds like the moms have more excitement at home than we thought. Jessica laughed, but it was sharp and brittle. Oh, please. Olivia watches too many cartoons. She's got more imaginary friends than she knows what to do with. She shot me a look, tight, accusing. Michael's always the detective with these things. He'll be searching the house for invisible men next. A few parents chuckled. My face burned. Jessica stared at me, jaw tight, silent threat in her eyes. Olivia skipped off, none the wiser, while the adults hovered awkwardly for a moment before changing the topic. I spent the next hour pretending to chat with neighbors, feeling every side eye, every whispered laugh behind my back. Jessica kept her distance, but her gaze never left me. As the sun started to dip, the crowd thinned. I was gathering up paper plates when Jessica cornered me behind the car, blocking the view from everyone else. She didn't bother to hide her anger. "If you keep letting Olivia spout off about non-existent men, I swear I'll make you look insane," she hissed, voice low but shaking with rage. "You want people thinking you're jealous of ghosts? Because that's exactly what they'll believe. Don't test me, Michael." I clenched my jaw, refusing to give her the satisfaction of a reaction. My mind spun with everything I'd seen and heard, what everyone else had just heard too. But her message was clear. She wasn't just hiding something. She was ready to destroy my reputation if I made trouble. Jessica brushed past me, smile snapping back on as she greeted Janine again, the mask perfectly in place. I stood next to the car, plates in hand, feeling smaller than I'd ever felt in my own neighborhood. I watched Olivia run up with Benjamin, all smiles, while grown-ups traded glances behind my back. The humiliation burned hotter than the grill, and I knew Jessica wasn't bluffing. If I made one wrong move, she'd make sure everyone thought I was the crazy one. All I could do was hold it together for the kids as the sun dipped behind the trees and everything felt suddenly darker than before. Sunday brunch at Jessica's parents' house always felt like walking into a job interview, but that morning the tension squeezed at my chest like a too tight tie. Her parents, her brother Jake and his wife, and even Jessica's two aunts were crowded around the long dining table. There was chatter about job promotions and the latest TV shows, but it all felt like static in the background. Jessica floated around, topping off coffee and passing out bagels, her voice extra bright. I carved up a banana for Benjamin and tried to act normal, but my nerves were raw. Olivia sat beside me, already picking at her pancakes, her eyes darting up at us every few minutes. Halfway through the meal, Jake grinned at me from across the table. "So, Michael, any wild school stories lately? Still catching kids with cell phones in their shoes? Or is it all drama with slime these days?" I smiled, relieved for the distraction. Mostly slime and TikTok dances. It's a full-time job just making sure nobody brings frogs inside. Jessica cut in, smirking. "That's not the kind of detective work Michael's really good at, though." The table stilled a little, and she leaned in, her tone bright but loaded. "You should see him at home. One word from the kids and suddenly he's up all night searching for clues. We should get you a magnifying glass, Sherlock." Her mom giggled, dabbing her mouth with a napkin. "Oh? What are you investigating, Michael?" Jessica's eyes danced. "He's convinced there's some mysterious William haunting our house. The kids say the name once, and Michael basically set up a command center looking for evidence. I keep telling him William is probably just a cartoon pig or something." The family burst out laughing. Jake snorted. "Oh, come on, Mike, you're losing it. Imaginary friends? Really?" I tried to smile, but it felt tight. "Just being careful, you know. Kids pick up strange things." "No, guys, really?" Jessica interrupted, her voice rising playfully but cutting. "He's gone full detective. Sat up half the night combing through our streaming history for a cartoon character named William. Like the FBI for toddlers. I told him, 'You're not interesting enough to have a mystery in your life, honey.'" The laughter got louder. Her aunts shook their heads, both of them looking at me with that mix of pity and amusement. I felt my face burn hot. I tried to chuckle, searching for eye contact with literally anyone who might throw me a rope. Nobody did. Jessica leaned in even closer, her perfume stifling, her voice a whisper meant just for me, but not really. "You'll never find anything because there's nothing to find, Sherlock. Maybe next time, check the mail for secret spy codes. A wave of humiliation swept over me. There's a special kind of shame when you know someone's mocking you, but you can't call them on it without looking even crazier. I just kept my eyes on Benjamin, who was smearing jelly on his face. Her dad cleared his throat, forcing a smile. Well, I'm glad someone in this family likes to keep things interesting. Jessica took a long sip of her coffee, still grinning. Oh, Michael keeps things plenty interesting. Always a story, always a new case. At least it's never boring. The laughter quieted, everyone satisfied, I guess, that the joke had been made. I tried to swallow my embarrassment and focus on the kids. When I glanced at Olivia, she was staring at me, confused and small. Her fork paused in the air. She looked between me and Jessica, frowning like she was working out a problem she couldn't solve. That was the worst part, the way Olivia looked at me, like she wasn't sure which way was up or who was supposed to be embarrassed. I forced a smile at her, but she only pressed her lips together and looked back down at her food. Jessica caught the look and shot Olivia a warning raise of her eyebrow, just a flicker, but it was enough to make Olivia drop her gaze, shoulders slumping. Benjamin started whining for more syrup, but nobody moved to help me. I sat there, the family swapping stories around me, my humiliation burning a hole in my gut, and the kids soaking up every second of it, a lesson I desperately wished they weren't learning. The week after that family brunch, it felt like my world shrank overnight. I'd always had a solid crew, friends from college, teachers at work, even a couple of the dads on our street who'd swing by with lawnmowers and cold beers. Suddenly, it was like everyone decided I was invisible. It started with the group chat. Usually, someone would send out a dumb meme or a soccer highlight, and I'd have a dozen responses by lunch. But I sent a couple things nothing heavy, just a meme about grading papers and a gif of Benjamin dancing in the living room. Silence. Not a single reply, not even from Derek, who never let a joke go unanswered. At work, I caught Lisa from next door at drop-off in the school parking lot. Hey, Lisa. I called out, waving, but she just gave a weird little smile and busied herself hustling her twins out of their car seats. Later, I saw her and Janine talking by the fence, their heads bent close together. When I walked past, the conversation died, and they both gave me tight, polite nods, like I was a substitute teacher they didn't want to bother learning the name of. At the mailbox, Pete, who'd always been good for a joke and a neighborly ribbing, looked up from his phone and shifted away. Afternoon, he said, eyes glued to his sneakers. When I tried to joke about the barbecue, he just muttered, "Yeah, busy week," and hurried inside. Little things piled up. Ben's daycare teacher gave me a sympathetic look at pickup and asked if everything was okay at home. I asked her what she meant, but she just said, "Jessica's been by a lot lately. She seems stressed." That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling and realized this isn't just me feeling weird. People are being weird. It's like everyone around us is carrying a script, and I'm the only one who doesn't know my lines. I started wondering what Jessica had said or what Olivia might have repeated, but I didn't have to wait long to find out. One afternoon, I heard low voices from the kitchen. Jessica was on the phone with her mom, her tone twisted up with worry, but every few words were razor sharp. "He's obsessed, Mom. He keeps asking the kids about William like it's a real person. It's embarrassing. I'm the one holding us together." I froze by the stairs, the words sinking in. I felt my face go hot, humiliated, but also suddenly, coldly furious. A few nights later, Olivia climbed into my lap while I graded papers at the dining table. She pressed her head against my chest and played with the collar of my shirt, unusually quiet. "Daddy?" she said, her voice small. "Is Mommy mad because you know about William?" I set my pen down, every muscle tense. "Why do you ask, sweetie?" She shrugged, eyes big and watery. "She says not to talk about William because it makes you upset, but you never get upset at me. Is it a secret game?" I knew what Jessica was doing. She was spinning the story, making me the paranoid one, the unstable dad who couldn't let things go. She'd poisoned the well with family, friends, even the kids. I hugged Olivia tighter, my mind racing. No, love. You never did anything wrong. I'm not mad at you or Benjamin. Sometimes grown-ups get confused or worried about things, but that's never your fault, okay? She nodded, face serious, and rested her cheek against my shoulder. Okay, but I wish people would be nice again. Mommy says you make things hard. Those words stung more than anything Jessica had said. Suddenly, I wasn't just losing Jess or my sense of security, I was losing the little world I'd built for my kids, one white lie at a time. As I watched Olivia head upstairs, hugging her bunny, I knew this wasn't going to quietly go away. All the isolation, the whispers, were building towards something I couldn't ignore much longer. The next few weeks felt like living with a ghost and a tornado at the same time. Jessica started staying out late almost every night, always with a new excuse. HR's on a deadline, I'm running recruitment, or there's a client dinner, I can't skip it. She barely looked up at dinner, just tapped away on her phone, sighing when Olivia tried to talk about her day. Sometimes she'd come home after midnight, heels in hand, tiptoeing through the kitchen so only the dog would notice. The house changed around her. Olivia started asking to sleep in my bed almost every night, wordlessly dragging her pillow and faded Bunny into my room as soon as the sun went down. The first time, I asked, "Hey, kiddo, what's wrong?" She shrugged, not meeting my eyes. "Just want to, Daddy. It's too quiet." That first night she came in, Benjamin woke up crying for Mommy, shrieking it over and over until I went in to calm him. He clung to my neck, hiccuping into my shirt, only settling when Olivia came in and sat on the rug, humming their bedtime song. I sat there in the dark, one arm around each of them, feeling the house echo with emptiness where Jessica's laugh used to be. Even the dog gravitated toward Jessica when she was around, tail wagging, hopping up onto the couch next to her, ignoring me when I called. I tried to brush it off, but it stung in a way I hadn't expected. The family I'd worked so hard to build was splitting along invisible seams, and everything I did felt like patching the roof and pouring rain. Dinner times became a mess of short tempers and silence. Benjamin would push away his food, crying for Mommy while Jessica scrolled Instagram and ignored the noise. Olivia would look at me, worried, and squeeze my hand under the table. One Thursday, I tried to talk to Jessica as she rushed out the door, blazer half on, keys already in hand. "Jess, are we ever going to have dinner together again? The kids miss you. I miss you. This is starting to feel..." She cut me off, eyes cold. "I told you, it's work. Maybe if you believed in me more, we wouldn't have all this tension." She kissed Benjamin on the forehead, patted the dog, and was gone before I could reply. A few nights later, Olivia curled up next to me on the couch after Benjamin was asleep. She looked so much older than her 7 years, the worry permanently etched in her brow. "Daddy," she whispered, "are you and Mommy fighting because of William?" I swallowed hard, trying to muster some optimism. "No, sweetheart. Grown-ups just get busy sometimes. You didn't do anything wrong." She rested her head on my chest. "I wish she'd come home more." "Me too, Liv," I said quietly. "Me too." Benjamin got crankier every day, throwing tantrums at pickup, always looking for Jessica. When she did come home, she swept him up, showered him with kisses, then disappeared into her bedroom with the door closed, leaving me to get Olivia ready for bed. I felt like a ghost in my own house, walking on eggshells, pretending for the kids that things would go back to normal. One night, after another lost dinner, Jessica came into the kitchen and leaned against the counter, arms folded. "I have news," she announced, her voice too bright. I braced myself. She smiled, but it didn't touch her eyes. I invited both families, mine and yours, for Christmas dinner here. I figured we could all use a reset. All under one roof again. Isn't that what you wanted? One big happy family. I just stared at her, stunned. Olivia poked her head around the corner, eyes wide. Really? I managed to say, voice flat. Jessica nodded, her expression daring me to challenge her. Really? I'll do the cooking. Let's show everyone what a perfect little family we have. You'll be there, right? I could only nod. She left the room humming to herself while Olivia came up beside me, clutching my hand hard. The table was set for a storm, and I was standing right in the middle of it, kids at my side, family on the way, and Jessica smiling like nothing could crack the surface. Christmas Day felt like a parody of every holiday card I'd ever rolled my eyes at. The house looked perfect. Twinkling lights, Jessica's parents bringing in a mountain of gifts, my mom fussing over the turkey, everyone forced into the same room with their defenses up and smiles far too wide. Jessica played the gracious host, refilling glasses, laughing too loud, acting for all the world like nothing ever ruffled her. The kids buzzed with weird energy. Olivia wore her new sparkly dress and kept glancing at Jessica for approval. Benjamin tottered around in his too big reindeer sweater, sticky from a stolen candy cane. The adults at the table, grandparents, my brother and his wife, Jessica's parents, and her brother's family, all made awkward small talk, nobody brave enough to touch the tension that practically choked the air. Dinner started off stiff. I tried to keep the conversation on safe ground. Olivia got an A on her book report. Benjamin finally learned to say please, but it all felt like I was shouting into a wind tunnel. My nerves sat right on top of my skin, waiting for something, anything, to snap. Halfway through the meal, Jessica started passing around the gravy, and Benjamin, out of nowhere, started chanting, "William, William, William." He banged his spoon on his high chair for emphasis, grinning like he'd just invented the word. The entire table fell silent. Every fork stopped mid-air. Jessica's hand froze, her knuckles white around the gravy boat. For a few seconds, nobody moved. My dad cleared his throat, about to say something, but Olivia, sweet, honest Olivia, blurted right over him. "William's mommy's friend," she announced, voice ringing in the quiet. "He comes over when Daddy's at work and they play in her room with the door locked. Sometimes Mommy calls his name really loud. Benjamin likes when he brings new toys." Jessica's face went paper white, eyes huge and wild. My mom's fork clattered to her plate. Jessica's dad looked like someone had punched him. My brother stared open-mouthed at the tablecloth. I watched Jessica, silent. Her mouth opened and closed, no words coming out. For a long moment, nobody in the room breathed. Then Olivia, suddenly sheepish, looked at Jessica and said, "Sorry, Mommy. I know you said not to tell Daddy about William, but I thought it was okay in front of everyone because it's Christmas." The silence was absolute. Jessica's hand shook as she set down the gravy, her eyes darting around the table, searching for rescue and finding nothing but stunned faces. The humiliation crashed over her, public and inescapable. Benjamin kept bouncing in his seat, oblivious, still chanting, "William, William." Jessica tried to speak, her voice barely a whisper. "Olivia, that's enough." But the damage was done. My mom stared daggers at Jessica. Her brother wouldn't meet her eyes. My own brother gave me the saddest look I've ever seen. The kids kept looking around, confused, Olivia's jaw set, but her eyes starting to shimmer with tears, realizing she'd done something wrong. Jessica's mother broke the spell with a strangled, "What is she talking about, Jessica?" But Jessica was frozen, lips pressed so tight they went white. I felt something cold settle over me, sadness, not relief, just a kind of clarity I hadn't felt in months. Every eye in the room was finally seeing what I'd been living with, and there was nowhere left for Jessica to hide. The Christmas table, once so carefully staged, had become the scene of her public undoing. Everyone knew. There was no shoving this secret back in the box, not now, not ever. And as I looked at my kids, my family, and the stunned faces around me, I realized this was the moment everything changed. Forever. The room was frozen in shock, Jessica still pale, her hands gripping the table like she might sink through it if she let go. Both sides of the family just stared, mouths hanging open, eyes darting from me to her to Olivia, who now sat biting her lip, tears trembling in her eyes, not really understanding why the truth she blurted out had suddenly made everything so wrong. Jessica's mother spluttered. "Is this true? Jessica, what is going on here?" Her father put down his fork, face dark with anger and disbelief. Jessica tried to open her mouth, but nothing came out. Her eyes flicked to me, then back to her own plate, then up at the ceiling, as if she could wish herself away from the table. I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't stand up or shake my fist. Instead, as the silence stretched so long you could hear Benjamin's wheezy breathing and Olivia's tiny snuffle, I picked up my wine glass and tapped the stem once, sharp, clear, deliberate. Everyone's attention locked onto me. I looked at my kids, then at the stunned crowd, and nodded slowly. "Thank you, kids," I said, voice steady even while my hands were shaking just a little, for the truest Christmas gift a man could get. No one laughed. The slice of cold honesty cut through the room harsher than any shouting ever could. Jessica's brother started whispering furiously to his wife. My mom's hand found my dad's. Jessica's aunts kept glancing from her to Olivia with horrified confusion, piecing it all together. Jessica shrank in her seat, blinking hard, jaw tight as she tried to swallow her humiliation. She looked at me, begging for mercy with her eyes, but I only met her gaze for a second, enough to let her know this was real, and there was no coming back. I stood up, as calm as I've ever been in my entire life. "Come on, Olivia. Benjamin, let's go get your coats." The kids stared at me, then at Jessica. Olivia's voice was just a whisper, "Daddy, am I in trouble?" I leaned down, voice gentle, but loud enough for every adult to hear. "No, sweetheart. You were honest. That's all anyone can ask." Jessica reached out, desperate. "Michael, please, we can talk." I stepped back, taking both kids' hands. "We're done talking," I said, looking at her, then around the table. "Merry Christmas, everyone." As I led Olivia and Benjamin toward the door, the adults at the table erupted. Jessica's mother was already scolding her in a harsh hiss, voice shaking with shame and anger. Her brother muttered, "You've ruined everything." My own parents were silent, but didn't stop me. Behind us, Jessica started crying, asking someone, anyone, to listen, but nobody seemed interested in excuses. I zipped Benjamin's coat, helped Olivia with hers, and together we walked out the front door into the icy December air. The sound of arguing voices, Jessica's family and mine, swelled in the background, accusations flying so fast I couldn't even pick out the words. But I didn't look back. For the first time in months, I felt the weight lift from my chest, replaced by something stony, clean, and sharp-edged. My dignity, my self-respect was no longer up for debate. Not in that house, not in front of those people. I squeezed my kids' hands tighter and led them down the steps, the night cold and clear around us. Jessica's world could crumble behind us. Mine, finally, was moving forward. After Christmas, everything moved fast, almost too fast. I filed for divorce the morning after. There were no dramatic fights, no teary bargaining. Jessica just stared at the papers, eyes rimmed red, hands shaking, but she signed them with a numb little nod. I didn't bother to explain. The whole family already knew. There was nothing left to say. The custody hearing was almost anticlimactic. The judge asked a few questions, and Jessica tried to keep her composure, but her lawyer looked exhausted, and Jessica's parents barely met her gaze in the hallway. I walked out with primary custody, Olivia clutching my hand and Benjamin babbling in my arms. Jessica didn't even say goodbye to the kids. She just kept her head down, lips pressed white. Word got around the neighborhood before I could even think about it. At the grocery store, people who'd avoided me for weeks suddenly gave me sympathetic nods or stopped to say, if you ever need help with the kids, just let us know. I heard Janine on our porch warning her daughter not to end up like Jessica. Even Pete, who hadn't looked me in the eye in a month, patted my shoulder and said, "You're better off, man." Jessica, meanwhile, had to live with the fallout. Her friends stopped calling. Her parents only came by to pick up their things or drop off gifts for the kids. I found out she'd been forced to move out of her office at work. Too many awkward run-ins with people who'd heard the story. I never gloated, but there was a cold satisfaction in seeing the truth finally stick. Home was quieter, but lighter. Olivia started smiling again, bringing me her drawings, asking if we could bake cookies. Benjamin learned a new word, happy. I got used to the sound of their laughter filling the house, the three of us making our own kind of normal. One afternoon, as I buckled Benjamin into his car seat for a trip to the park, I saw Jessica on the sidewalk outside her new apartment, arguing with her mother. Her mom's voice was sharp enough to carry even across the street. "This is what you chose, Jessica. You did this. Don't blame anyone else." I shut the door, turned my back, and walked away with my kids. I didn't look back.